my mama love. You should be ashamed. You should be ashamed. You should be ashamed.
Welcome back, Jackson, Mississippi, and these United States to the fastest growing show. And let me say to the only talk show here in Jackson or in Mississippi, I think, in our community that is on 5 days a week here for you. I am your honored host, Tariq Abdul-Tawwab, along with my esteemed co-host,
Keanu Perry,
a.k.a. KP, a.k.a. Young Man. So when you hear me saying Young Man, I'm not talking to our wonderful engineers. I'm talking to the young man sitting next to me who helps me make this possible every day with the duo that we bring you all. So welcome back to another episode of Make It Make Sense Jackson here at We Believe Digital Media. We have a huge show for you today, a lot to talk about. We always like to start off as we do the first 3 days of our week. We pray that everyone that listened to us last did something productive since the last time we've spoken. And we pray that as many of your loved ones that have left out have come back to you that have possibly could. And in that light, we'd like to start our show as we always do with a brief moment of silence for those of our loved ones that didn't return. And moving into the young man because he has a lot longer, hopefully, than I do. How you doing, young man? How was your evening?
Oh man! Besides all this pollen making me sniffle over here,
man, they can hear it. I know they can hear it. We're the pollen bandits over here. We're both fighting and losing.
It's all type of stuff happening, and we still show up every time. But you know, like I always say on every show, optimism. You got to be optimistic about every situation.
You got to be the face of the optimism that you want to see.
Yep.
Absolutely. I must say though, I just thought of that this morning. I was like, I haven't taken a bit of allergy medicine today. So I think sometimes I may be my own worst enemy a little bit. But yeah, no, it's been a good night. It's been, other than that pollen, it's been nice. I'm talking about from a weather perspective, it's been nice. It looks like the weather wants to stay where it's at now. So something's consistent here in Jackson. Obviously, you know the show, or if you're just getting used to it, you know that the next few moments we're going to get into what is not consistent and what's hurting us. But that weather seems to be staying consistent so far. So we'll take that as a plus, huh, KP?
Yeah, well,
everything can have an end to it, right?
Yeah, I'm about to say this Mississippi weather different, man.
Yeah. And then I mean, that's going to lead us to the focus of this of our show. But you know, in this weather, some things are good and some things are not good. But when you talk about the weather getting nicer and it being a lot drier, you also have to realize that, you know, when we talk about fires, that's actually the topic of the show today. As a lot of you all may know, there was a structural fire in Jackson, Mississippi, during which a fire department ladder truck was damaged to the tune of how much, KP? $1.4 million we lost in that, right? And so today's show is just to discuss when the system takes a hit, ladder truck fire and response capacity. And a few things we're going to look at with that is the incident and emergency response, the fire department staffing levels compared to national standards and compared to the previous administration, station availability and operational coverage, leadership and decision-making structure, and whether cost control measures may be influencing what's happening here in Jackson from a fire truck perspective. In other words, we're going to take a very close look at what happened with this fire. Look at what seems to be right now, and I think at this point, and if you're new to us, you're going to learn what we do is we talk to the community, and we're shock jocks, if you want to say it that way. We're podcast hosts. This is the beauty of it. We get to talk to you, and we get to bring your voice to the light. So at this point, we can say that enough folks have talked about low morale within the fire department to say that there's some folks within the fire department that are very unhappy with the way it's being run right now. And I'm talking about employees, right? I'm not talking about people from the peanut gallery sitting there eating, trying to take our shot on how you run a fire department, right? So this is alarming to us here at Make It Make Sense Jackson, because alarms have been rung about the way the fire department's been running on our platform, and not by us, two relatively younger, inexperienced people. We're talking about our former and beloved throughout the city. Just like Chief Wade, he was a fixture. It seemed everyone around him kind of agreed that he was someone that worked and loved Jackson. And we're talking about the former Chief Willie Owens. We've had him on this podcast before. And on this podcast, he was unfortunately there to warn his constituents all of his black men, though he is a part of 100 black men, he was warning all of us. And we often shouted out that we were looking for the rest of those 99 black men to support him. He came on very alarmed because Mayor Horn's administration and some of the department were making some claims about securing a fire truck, new property within the fire houses, and fixing up the firehouses, all things that were done under the former Chief Willie Owens. And he came on the show with receipts and went over that. But he was very concerned at that moment. If you remember, KP, the former chief was very concerned about the morale at the fire department at that point. And of course, we couldn't see this coming, but he was just very concerned about all of his former employees that had reached out to him and had made it clear that that they were being denied rightful sick time. They were being, from their words, they were being treated differently. The work environment was becoming hostile. And mind you, this interview was what, months ago?
Yeah.
This interview was months ago, so you can go on.
He came on more than one time.
Yes,
I mean, the consistency of him being worried about this situation kind of, it kind of leads up to what's going on now with this fire truck situation. See what I'm saying? He been what, the chief? He was the chief, private chief, 40 years.
Yes,
40 years.
You're talking about someone that understands the city and understands what the city needs. And what he said on that show, to the young man's point, was very alarming. So let's just do a quick background of the transition from Chief Willie Owens to now Chief, Rashawn Thomas. I don't like when people mispronounce my name, so I try to be very careful. But Chief Rashawn Thomas is now the chief. Patrick Arnold was the assistant chief. Okay, so let's go through the transition, right? So the transition happened when then Chief Chief Willie Owens was retiring, and he advised us that then incoming Mayor Horn reached out to him and asked him for advice on to keep the continuity and safety of the city. That's you. And this is why this conversation is being had today. So let's just say it up front. Let's just pause for a second. At a certain point, making sure I'm looking at you now. At a certain point, there needs to be an understanding that the well-being of our city is not for sale. That's where you got to stand up. That's where we've got to stand up. That's where we can agree on whether you wanted this person as mayor, that person as mayor. The race is over. Mayor John Horn is our mayor. It's unquestionable. But for us to sit by while certain moves are being made in front of us that are hurting not only our fire department employees. Now stop for a second, and we're going to go into it. So you're talking about employees that at one time the city was doing backward flips to try to entice into the fire department for good reason, to make sure we had a solid fire department. You're talking about a city that's been complaining of brain drain, of young people leaving, right? Who literally the former administration and administrations before him, and hopefully this administration, I don't think this is one mayor, everyone tries to keep our young men and women here to see if they can work on our fire department and other things, right? So as hard as you fought here in Jackson to get these young men and women on your fire department and keep the ones that are there, to then turn around and hear reports like this should be alarming to everybody. So let's start there. You'll talk through your community. You have family members that are on the fire department. You'll be able to validate what's being said, right? But when a former fire chief that the whole city trusts starts bringing these issues up, which he did months ago, and his bottom line was, I don't feel the city is safe. Got to go back and look at it. He wasn't on there talking about, I don't like that I was passed over. He retired, traveling, enjoying himself. Everywhere I see the old chief at, people are shaking his hand and smiling at him. He's worried about the safety of the people. You got the former mayor's house burning down and the mother's house, that burned down. And you've got people questioning, why did the response time take so long? But we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that are coming to light. And the first thing you got to start with is the fact that your chief, your leader, Mayor Horn, asked the former chief, and this isn't Tarek saying it, because sometimes if you just jump on, oh, there goes Tarek again, there goes Tarek telling you the truth. So hopefully in another 6 months, we don't have to worry about why we lost a loved one in a burning fire. Hopefully we can put our foot before the line this time, right? And stop letting people keep doing dirty things while they handle the city and put the people they want in those positions, no matter what effect it has on the rest of the city. So the former Chief Horn, the former Chief Owens tells, and these are his words exactly, tells Mayor Horn at that time, the only person I believe is truly prepared for the role is Patrick Arnold, my assistant chief. Okay, now, of course, Horn does not have to listen to him, right? Horn is the mayor, not Willie Owens, and I'm Chief Owens, and it's fine. But this is what he told him. He said, I don't believe that anyone else is prepared to lead the fire department and make the type of decisions that would keep the city safe. So this is what you have to deal with when you ignore advice like this. You have to deal with the fact that a esteemed man like the former chief, he still exists. You know, KP, it still happened. He still told you the only person ready was this person. Now, mind you, if you think that that's a slight or that's some friendship thing, the person that he said was ready was the assistant chief, Patrick Arnold. The person that was appointed, so if you wonder why the former chief is bothered, the person that appointed was Captain Rashawn Thomas. It's no slight against Captain Thomas. What the chief explained to us was
he's fourth ranked down.
Talk about it. So this is what the chief explained to us. What was the problem that he had with a hire of a captain versus a hire of an assistant fire chief?
What's the problem he had?
You just said it.
Yeah, we 4 ranks down. But my thing about it is also you got to think about the years. I think Arnold was on that 30 years.
Absolutely.
And Rashawn, he wasn't even there. Not that long. He wasn't the captain that long.
Absolutely. No. Very true. Those all are factors. But I won't say, just for the sake of argument, you may not have a genius fire person that comes along and they can be that good that quickly. That's not even our beef, though that's true. And I'm glad that you let the people know that vast difference, letting them know there's nothing overwhelming that would make this happen, right? So to the young man's point, he said you went 4 positions. So moves that were created that allowed him to skip the ranks of district chief, division chief, deputy chief, assistant chief.
You went straight.
This is what I need you to understand. We don't care anything about your feelings about how things sound, right? If you have 6 children, if you have 2 children, if you have no children, if you have a parent, if it's just you, you have every right to know about decisions being made that affect your safety and the response when your house, God forbid, my mother, rest in peace, had a fire, and you tell me that we 20 minutes behind what we would have been, right? But this is what you skip. Let's start with that. We won't get into why you be 20 minutes late. But this is what you skipped first. So let's just start with what it is. And if you want to vouch and say, you know what, I think this has never been done in the history of Jackson. And I doubt that it's ever been done in the history of fire departments, of a paid fire department. Understand the difference. Yeah. A volunteer fire department, maybe. This is the wrong show to try to get slick with. A volunteer fire department, okay. In the history of paid fire departments, I don't think anybody has ever gone from captain. Hop skipped over district chief, division chief, deputy chief, and assistant chief. And this is no shout out to the brother. I'd take the job if you give it to me. So let's just sidebar that. This is on your leadership and who they put in the position. If I'm on fries at Wendy's and you tell me you want to run the whole restaurant and I'm giving you $80,000, I'm taking that $80,000. I'm gonna try to figure it out. So let's keep the eye on the sparrow. You asked Mayor Horn, the former fire chief, who was ready. Now, if you didn't think that you wanted him, then go hire somebody you know has experience enough to be a chief. Stop playing with our livelihood this way.
He did it with the police chief with Brackney.
You went and found somebody with the experience to be. You blocked us from her after that point. And remember, if you're just joining, one thing we want you all to look at is the JPD website, where everywhere, mainly where Chief Brackney is being mentioned or touted around, you're not able to make a comment at all.
We're still blocked.
Still blocked. Absolutely. I mean, it's encourageable. I mean, Nick Lott, the Republican that was at the head of Republican presidents and other bigwigs campaigns, is the director of communications. Make it make sense, Jackson. This is the same thing as when your children were being taken to the rodeo. What was that rodeo called?
Andy Gibson.
Oh man.
Ooh.
Man, we were moving because it was both our heads, but to the Dixie Rodeo.
To
the Dixie Rodeo. So you had your former mayors, your former mayor stood down 13 toes, but your former mayors usually, you don't want the Dixie Parade, which was created when integration happened, right? So it was created to say we're not going to a parade with you Negroes, right? At best, right? So that's what the Dixie Parade is about. The former mayor sued to make sure that they couldn't even put up a billboard just for the dignity of especially of 90-year-old Black people at that time who have to sit in their homes and potentially look at a parade where they understand the pain that came with that Dixie Parade. And what happened? You had Pineywood went. I call everyone. You had JPS schools that now I called my child's school. A few schools said we're giving the teachers the option. So I guess they're saying we're adhering by not blocking you, but it's that teacher's option. And I know my child's teacher opted not to go. Big up. And that would be the proper thing, understanding what the Dixie Parade is. But these other schools decided to go. Other Jackson public schools, Pineywood, they decided that you know what? Sometimes being around a festival is cool. It doesn't matter if they called us N-words, niggers, and I mean, we're in a platform where we can be open, where they called us this word and where they openly advocated for murder if we came near them. This is what this represents. You know, that Ross Barnett video, if you want to go listen to it, and I believe he was at that festival, and I could be wrong, when he said, I love our customs, I love my state, I love Mississippi today, tomorrow, and forever. But he made a point of saying, I love our customs. You got to understand what the Dixie Parade represents. They understand it. That's why they love it. We should at least have the self-dignity to represent our ancestors that are in the ground by not taking our children to something of that nature. Then you wonder why they grow up not aware of the powers that be and whether they want to hurt them or not. Now, these kids don't know their history.
I remember somebody saying they wouldn't even explain what the parade was. They just thought they were going to a rodeo.
They just thought they were going to a rodeo. And then you have elders out there saying these kids don't know their history. You take them to the Dixie Parade. And you've got folks at these institutions that are high up, used to work for Obama. So when you think about your leadership, when you say these kids don't know their history, well, why don't they? You taking them to the Dixie Parade. They in Jackson going to the Dixie Parade, and especially the ones that look back and saw the previous mayor stand on 10 toes and say, you're not even putting a billboard up. Now they're like, well,
the Confederate flag.
Yeah, we don't even want to see that flag.
See that, John.
They just got the horses just marching, the same horses used to hit us with, just marching through proudly. And you just taking your children to it like they can't skip a day. But they can skip the skate park that was scheduled for them. They can skip that. They can skip all the basketball rims throughout South and West Jackson. You took all those down, shut down the sprinklers. They can skip everything. But they need to go to the Dixie Parade. Note taken.
Did you see that new post on WNBT about the St. Patrick's Parade coming up? You seen that?
Yeah, they're excited about it.
Well, guess what? They say this is the rules now for the new parade. They say no glass containers, no operating parking or bringing in ATV vehicles, no placing or maintaining portable toilets, no grills, smokers, and open flame cooking devices. No boom boxes and other amplified noise makers. Sound like they targeting a specific group, don't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The same group that elders in our Black community target on a regular basis first. So listen, we're gonna this is make it make sense, Jackson. It gets uncomfortable and we grow together, right? We call each other out and we hold ourselves accountable. But the one thing, if you've ever been on our platform, that we've talked about is that the biggest fluke in the world is for elders in the community, when they're asked what's the biggest problem in your community, and the first thing you say are the young people, that's why you don't get any business deals. That's why they take from you everywhere you go. That's why no matter what's the Indian race, the Asian race, that's why everywhere you go, you're getting shortchanged because you don't stand for anything. Why would they respect you? If you walk into someone's house and say, why is there urine all over your walls? And they say, because my kids just do it. And your respect drops about 50%. And that's what you're doing out in society, in the communities. First off, stop doing it. You sound stupid, and I love you. Stop it. Stop it. Now, the second thing is, sometimes I hear you say, we used to be men and we fought with our fists. Don't be a coward. Why you got a pastor or imam doing everything you know he's doing, but you want to be looked at in a good light, so you don't say nothing about him. Please shut your mouth. Please stop saying things like, don't be a coward to these young men who are shooting back in the middle of gunfights. Leave it to people like Strong Arms in Mississippi, and leave it to people that are actually intervening with these young men and trying to show them a better way, right? You just keep quiet and stop talking about courage, because I don't see a lot of old men with courage around here. Okay, and if you do have it, I'm trying to peer you all. My eyes are worse. 601-387-2. I know I'm saying that wrong. I'm not going to keep going. When it gets big, I'm going to give it to you all again. 601-387-2684. Everything that we say here, we want you to call in and discuss or throw a chat on there, right? Just because we were growing up in an era of giants doesn't mean you have to feel bad about the fact that you're a small man. You can build yourself bigger, and that's what those giants used to teach us when we were young. They'll smack you in the back of your head. Those 89-year-old men, when we were 40-year-olds, were young, they'll smack you in the back of your head, but they'll tell you, boy, stop crying and get yourself together. That was letting you know you could be better. So for that generation, I reach back out to you and let you know you can be better. But please stop embarrassing yourself in our community and society by saying that the problem is the children. Because other people understand about the Hart-Celler Immigration Act of 65. Other people understand about all of these political positions we've held and got nothing from. Other people see that. So you just embarrass yourself. Other people watched the Jackson City Council meeting when Ted Hennepin said that the whole entire Black city has a culture of not paying their bills. And Gibbs, Crudup, the mayor, all 7 of the city council sat there with their heads low, just waiting for it to be over.
Oh, they even shook hands with him.
Yeah, they shook hands with him afterwards. They came out smiling. If you were on our live, you saw us because I was right there in front of them and videoing it. And how you doing, fellas? I'm doing fine. Truth never needs to hide, right? So understand, when you see folks like that, you point them out to your children like dinosaurs at a park. Hey, kids, look, those are Black folk that don't believe in standing up for their people right there.
You told me. You said, young man, you a big factor. You make them feel like a shrimp. At the time, I ain't gonna lie, I ain't had the confidence to make somebody I thought was a mayor or anything like that. But I realized when
you tell the truth, we were at the radio station. The mayor horn came through, walking out the back room up on the young man, fixing his suit like he knew the difference between a noose and a necktie, and he's the main one that does it. Yeah. So I was not about to let him lean on you, brother. He's choking and he didn't even realize it, right? But because he's willing to let us all choke first, by the time he realized it, it's too late. The whole farm's gone. And we're in a situation where factually we back that up. That's why we like those comments. That's why I repeat that number over and over again, because at that point we want that. Yeah,
he
did.
came out trying to press me, man. I was,
Yeah, and see, that's what happens to our young people. One way or another, you're impressed by a crook with a gun or a crook with a suit. Either way, it's somebody trying to lead you down the wrong way. And then when someone comes along that's been in both places and can call out both things, now they got a problem with it. Now you can't call out a person's resume. You can't call out a person's background, and you can't give them any amount of money to make them see it the other way. And that's the problem we have when you see someone skipping 4 positions and you're not talking about it in Jackson. Well, I'm going to talk about it and let you be the silly one that when it does burn, and if I burn, at least I can say I burned in my house and I was screaming something's wrong. District chief, division chief, deputy chief, assistant chief. So these are the steps that were skipped after the former mayor, after the former fire chief said that the only person on my staff that's qualified, that's not an insult to the captain. But any of you all military, but for the love of God, police people, fire people, there's ranks you go through and you learn things through those ranks that actually make you qualified for the next one. In the military and the fire department, the actual leading of men and women is what qualifies you for certain next ranks. So you don't jump ranks because there's no way you could have had the experience. I don't care what school you went to, what fire school or what fire you studied. That's what comes with experience and leading. So that's the first step we're putting in an unsafe position. You look at it how you want to. So
I mean, my fault.
No, go. Perfect.
For you to even, it's like me going from like you said, a foot soldier to the general. You know what I'm saying? I'm a feel in the presence of me becoming a general. I'm gonna be like, I ain't really ready for this position, man. I don't think I'm ready to be the general. But for me to take the position, I'm trying to be the face of something I'm not ready for. You really not for the people because you just want to look good. You see what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah.
So you want to look good. Now looking good is causing certain things to happen, like a fire truck exploding. I'm shut up.
No. So that's going to link it all together. Remember, the story we're going to talk about that everyone is going to lead right up to that is that you had a fire truck exploding, and we started with this, KP. So we're not going to shut up. Absolutely not. The fire truck, exploded. That was a $1.4 million fire truck, right? That's the first we need to start at, right? And so the question surrounding it is, why did it explode? Well, the first thing is, when we investigated from the last show, is a lot of things came up internally from the complaints. So when you go back, the first thing that was suspicious, right, as we lead up to it was, excuse me, guys, there was a post that I reposted. So if you're not looking at it, go to Make It Make Sense Jackson, JXN, Make It Make Sense Jackson, and you'll see a post that I posted about local number 87, fraternal organization within the department that posted all of these gains that were made and thanking Mayor Horn for these gains. And the former Chief Willie Owens was disrespected, and as was the city, because he bought in receipts and came to the show and showed and told us with purchase forms and everything, how he had actually accomplished all of the things that this local number 87 was giving credit to Mayor Horn for accomplishing. So this isn't the young man and I, right? This is former Chief Willie Owens saying, no. All of these are things that I did while in office, while as the fire chief, not things that the new administration or the new fire. So these are all things but let's look at Local 87 first off, right? People are going to learn to just stop doing things, right? So Local 87 is a fraternity, historically all white leadership. And we talk to our elders, we talk to me. That's your problem. We talk to you, right? So by the time we come here, we don't care what you say about what we said. We've already talked to elders. We know what it is, right? So it's an all-white leadership. Basically, when firefighters, but what turned out to be when white firefighters got in trouble, the union supported them. When black firefighters got in trouble, the union didn't give them the same consideration. Now, I'm part of a union, Local 2108, so I fully understand what a union does. A union is supposed to help everybody that has a problem with it. So you not only have false information coming out saying that gains were made under the Horn administration, but you have Local 87, a fraternal organization historically known for racism, and that's at the root of you. I don't care if you've got 70% black members now. You're getting them union dues. Again, I know how union works. That money every month, that weekly money counts. So you're getting them union dues. So of course, color doesn't count. Mississippi, colors never counted once it came to accepting the money. Colors only counted when it came to applying it. Mississippi will take money for black people all day. That's the Mississippi Shuffle. They'll take opioid money. They'll take HUD money. They'll take public education money. But when it's time to now fully fund the education system, whoa, you fully took that money every year, didn't you? But you got a problem fully funding it. Yeah. So that's where your problems come in at, right? Is the fully funding. So first, I got a problem with Local 87, even speaking up and jumping into it. But for you, that should be a good heads up that what's coming behind that may not be on the up and up. Now, on the flip side of this commercial break, we're going to tell you just what shortcuts have been taken in your fire department and how you may suffer for it. We'll be right back. Make it make sense, Jackson.
The Mississippi Link is an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, keepers of the knowledge for people who speak the truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippiLink.com and click on Home Delivery.
Socrates Garrett ENT.com is a diversified firm specializing in recycled aggregates and crushed concrete. Socrates Garrett ENT.com's recycled materials provide the construction industry with significant economic and environmental benefits by recycling clean concrete rubble into M.DOT grade rock materials. Recycled aggregates and crushed concrete can be applied to driveways, road construction, bank protection, parking lots, general bulk fills, and more. By using Socrates Garrett ENT.com's crushed concrete products, anyone from homeowners to general contractors can help reduce landfilled concrete waste, conserve natural resources, and gain significant economic savings on materials and disposal costs. For more information, please call 601-896-0084 or visit us online at SocratesGarrettENT.com.
Welcome back to Make It Make Sense, Jackson. I am your host, Tarek Abdul-Tawwab, along with my esteemed co-host.
Deanna Perry.
This is the flip side. I'm sorry, man. I was excited with my next. I thought of a new way to say it. I was just gonna say this is the flip side of the break. On radio, Monday, Tuesdays, when we don't have breaks, so it is good to have a flip side when we can put our heads together and think of anything that's changed.
Yes, definitely. But as we come back from this commercial break, we're gonna go back into the topic, and we're gonna state one of the topics is the current conditions, right?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna find. Just if you forgot, before we jump into that, if you forgot, coming out of that break, we were talking about and just to kind of summarize, we were talking about the post that we asked you to look at the Facebook page, Make It Make Sense, Jackson. We'll get it up on here as well, or at least a blink of it, where Local 87, a historic fraternal organization within the fire department, does have a history of helping white folks over black folks. We're just putting it all together really quickly. A lot of black folks thought joining that union would protect them from the folks we talked with, and found out that it wouldn't. A lot of folks in our community. But they posted something essentially saying that they secured improvements in equipment, thanking Mayor Horn for helping them secure improvements in equipment, pay, mental health, station conditions, cleaning supplies, pay raises, mental health, when in fact hazard pay came from the Lumumba administration. Cleaning supplies were always provided by the fire department. These are just lies, guys. I mean, you can look at it, remember, you can look at it as you may want to look at it, but they're lies at that point, right? Because when you have the former chief coming on giving the information of where this stuff is at, and then us verifying that with the city, then we verified the hazard pay that they're talking about they gained came from the previous administration. Mental health issues will at least say that the previous fire chief was continuously making calls for mental health awareness, so you may have partnered with him. And then they said that they upgraded the stations. Well, the station repairs and upgrades were already underway. And you can look at the city council meetings and see the chief coming forward and asking for the money to make those. The new alert system, again, go look at the city council meeting notes and you'll see the previous fire chief, Willie Owens, already in the process of setting up new alert systems. He had already lobbied the CCID to get more money. They just wouldn't give it to him under the Lumumba administration. They would only do it under Horn. Why they want to do that, that's on them. But that had already happened. The upgrades to the fire departments had already happened. And so this is when that phone number I read is so important. Because if that's not the case, you've got somebody from the fire department that would call in, and I assure you, cease and desist. It's not just being said on this platform. They would say, immediately stop that. That's incorrect. It's not being said, and you're not hearing any pushback, because this is factual truth, and that's what we do at Make It Make Sense. So that's the background that I want you to look at. Now, your young man's going to get into what we learned in our investigation about the conditions that are existing right now. And then maybe that'll give us a better understanding about the end result that we saw this morning with the fire truck burning and us losing $1.4 million worth of equipment.
Yes, indeed. Let's get into it. you know, there are concerns that the staff is being intentionally cut short, and this focus appears to be on saving overtime money.
Yeah.
And overtime is not being approved. And the departments are being run short on personnel equipment. My fault.
No, you're fine.
That's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
Yeah, personnel equipment.
And that's big right there. And understand what the young man's saying. And this is what the reports are saying. And we're going to have, if you have further questions, Tuesday, we have invited and he has accepted former Chief Willie Owens back onto the show. And he is going to give us all of the information on top of this, not just the folks we've talked to, but he has gotten the same information and verified the same information. So you're talking about staffing being cut short because I don't want to pay overtime potentially happening. Finish reading. Let's look at what all the concerns are, and then we'll address it.
I think that was all the concerns.
Yeah. That was fighting these allergies. But yeah, so that was the initial one. So you had concerns. So you say, what did that happen? So the biggest concern that we heard come out of there, and again, we're going to bring on former Chief Willie Owens because it's important that somebody that's very well versed in how this works and somebody with a pulse, a finger on the fire department as is. When you're a good leader and you lead, we had people call into the station, bypassing me. They didn't want to talk to us, KP. We had the chief on. They were coming right to their chief. They were like, Chief, you told us this. We told you this was going to happen. So, you know, the folks from the fire department are the ones that are calling their family members. We had somebody's family member that called in and said, my family member can't even take off sick without worrying about getting transferred 80 miles away. Not legitimately, but remember, we had one person, I'm not going to say their name, that worried about, I think that they basically had a sick day or basically spoke up for themselves and was transferred so far away, they had to look for new transportation. That's what the definition, former union, of a hostile, and a former manager, of a hostile work environment is. You transfer somebody up 20 because you don't like that they said something to a reporter, that they spoke about something that's in their rights. That's a hostile work environment. In Jackson, we're looking at it happen all around us. And then those of us in the community that call ourselves educated and intelligent, we're not even ringing the alarm. So you're talking about reports that staffing is being intentionally cut short. Now, you know when them reports hit me the worst? And we talked about this, KP. Those reports hit me the worst when folks started telling me that they know for a fact that fire stations are being shut down rather than pay overtime. And I said, well, what do you mean? And that's why I'm bringing the chief on, because he's going to discuss this, because he got the same reports. Make it make sense is very clear. We go off of you, the people, or something someone says. But the reports are that they are shutting down fire stations overnight rather than pay those people overtime. And that's when I mentioned there was a fire. I questioned that. The former mayor, Tony Yarber's mother's house, where the fire burned a lot longer than folks expected something like that to burn. And even at that time, I questioned where they were responding from. This was well afterwards when I heard about it. So now when you hear this, you have to be bold enough and courageous enough for the people in your city that could be hurt to not keep information to yourself like a little parrot. So I hear multiple people, plus reports going to the chief saying, well, this new fire chief and the new fire department under the mayor are not giving any overtime, even to the point where when folks call out sick or on vacation, to the point they can't staff the fire station in your neighborhood, they just close it down.
They close the fire station.
They close it down for the night until folks come in next. And this is coming from the people that work with these folks.
So these folks want overtime so they can assist the people of Jackson. Y'all not giving it to them?
They're not even looking for overtime. It just happened to be that enough people call out that you're going to have to give them overtime. And I know, listen, I'll say, Tariq Abdul too, I'll keep putting it on me. I manage that variety. I fully understand why you would not want to give overtime. I remember being in management meetings where I was told, if you give overtime, you may not have a job here tomorrow. We're not at that point. So that means that you're only saving money so that you can say, I saved the money if that's the case. The proof will come out. But these reports are just countless, and they're coming from inside that fire department. And they're coming from customers, residents that have said, yeah, I've witnessed something not being opened. If you witness that, you just sitting by letting that happen, and you lighting the fire. That's just sidebar. You're lighting the fire.
Wait, what did they witness not being open?
The fire department not being open.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're lighting the fire. And thank God you at least confirmed it to the community member I was talking to. But if you witness it, you've got to say something. And don't worry about whether something's going to happen or not. So many people say, well, ain't nothing going to happen anyway. That's what you're going to tell God? When you go up there, I'm serious, especially you like us, 50, 60, 70, you know we don't have too much left. What are you going to tell your guy when he asks you, okay, well, they were down there suffering. Why didn't you mention that you saw this brother seeking around in Madison with these other businessmen and you knew that could be controversial for Jackson? Well, that wasn't my business. Okay, well, where you going is not my business.
We recently just had an Atmos energy explosion. It was a gas leak. The Atmos energy was supposed to come out, and they did not properly search for the gas leak.
This is getting ridiculous.
This is getting,
We've got to sue the public. So we got to sue everybody that is supposed to be accountable for us. You got explosion after explosion. I talked to a traveling gas man, that's probably not his term, but that was working with Atmos, who told me for a fact in my house. So if you want to call that slander, pull my record and see when he came out there. He said in the garage, listen, this is weird. I said, what's weird? He said in Texas, he said when one person finds a gas leak, that same tech has to go back to that location. No one else can go. Because the way gas leaks are, sir, they're very sensitive. You got to catch them with air. So if the person that saw it the first time, he said, here in Jackson, they just sending different people. We just came in from Texas and we're going to look at a leak someone else looked at 2 months ago. He said the chances, boom, within a month explosion. The things that are happening here are not even, maybe it's happening because of this. So when you hear of a fire explosion, a fire truck, $1.4 million gone, you hear morale low. You hear people within your family in the fire department saying, man, I'm unhappy. I can't take out sick. I can't take off anything. But you want to ignore the fact that someone jumped against the previous fire chief's advice, jumped a captain over the district chief, over the division chief, over the deputy chief, over the assistant chief. Make it make sense, Jackson. Make it make sense, Jackson. And stop going to your coffee shops. And I'm talking to my friends that our children go to Tougaloo together, or our children go here, and you think that we're a little more educated and you're in the coffee shops with your legs crossed. I don't know what's wrong. You know what's wrong. You sitting here letting this happen, acting like nothing's happening. But you can do the crossword puzzle in the newspaper every time. When you're at work with your white friends, you come, hey, Joe, I got you, buddy. I can fix that. I know, because I've been there with you. I help in everywhere, man. I'm not knocking you for being a good worker at that place. It's just amazing how good you are when we're in corporate America and how little you know when you're at home. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
How you got people in the black community here in Jackson that work all types of positions within the state, but they can't see that jumping someone for a position should be something you're talking about. We get so uneducated when it's time to figure out what's going on at home. But we got the most lawyers in any southern city. I think we done ranked up. We got the highest level of education. We got folks that are right around with VI Love and Tougaloo and Alcorn all on their plates. But when it comes time for us to pick up our head and say, hey, y'all here in Jackson that somebody went from captain to chief? Now you got a $1.4 million fire truck going, but you don't even realize what happened in the first place. Because you just let them smile and take pictures. And because Mayor Horn was in there saying this is the pick, you thought it was fine.
And them your tax dollars.
But when one of those 100 black men got on the radio and said, this is wrong, Jackson, your safety's at risk, the other 99 said nothing. These are the things that are going to keep your community, get your community the way it needs to be. Transparency. Same way you do with these young kids. That's what we're going to make real popular. You won't think twice before you talk about them, ain't you? Because we're going to hit you the same way, you cowards. You got these cowards out here shooting. Well, you got these cowards out here pretending they didn't see somebody jump 4 ranks. And when some burning happens and something go wrong, you got these cowards that can't even explain to their family why they let that happen. But you're supposed to be men. You're supposed to be men. Just like when we sat in that city council meeting and that white man, Ted Hennepin, said to that whole courtroom, y'all got to listen, this isn't about color. They made it about color. You said this city, this 87% black, has a culture of not paying. You knew what you were playing on. Make it make sense. Don't play with us in our face. Do it behind our back. Don't piss down our back and tell us it's raining. Throw us in the rain and try to pee on us. Here y'all are doing some crazy stuff, and you saw a room full of men with no spines, no backbones. I don't even know how they went home, and I'm gonna stop there because I'm never in the business of desecrating a person.
I mean, as I said
but I don't understand.
On the radio,
their wife must have took a trip that night.
Take
How you look at him? How you look at him? If their wife was watching that, I asked it. If their wife was watching that in City Hall and that white man stood up there, say what you want, boo me if you want. You all have a habit of not paying. The whole of you, all of you over there, it doesn't matter if you're over or behind the churches of Christ. Well, all the churches are, it doesn't matter where you are. Some of you live in Fondren, all of you have a habit of not paying. And that men fixed their suits and looked at the wall to see what the next show was coming up on TV, because apparently they started showing reviews on the wall of the City Hall all of a sudden. And I was there in the back filming it all. Saw with my own eyes.
And he didn't mention Eastover. You know, there's a lot of people in Eastover that don't pay their water bill.
No, they got a reason not to pay it. Those are the good people of the city.
Oh, that's the
They got they're not paying it because they got a complaint with their bill. and they call their good congressmen that they have access to and we don't. They can get to your mayor quicker than you can. If you're in West or South Jackson, or if you're not in the right parts of North Jackson or the right parts of Pond, they can get to your mayor quicker than you can. See, it's being done in our face. So don't be surprised when we come on and we talk about it. But so now you have a situation where your fire department, you should be okay with him bringing on Gabriel Prado and giving him a 1.5 million in tax incentives, letting him build luxury apartments that none of you can afford. Okay, you're okay with that, fine. You're okay with an Indian guy, Babanasi, coming in and buying up all of downtown, virtually all of it, and saying, I'm going to bring in good new tenants. Not you, right? You're okay with that, that's fine. But when you have a fire department and you hear that they're cutting overtime, now how does that affect it? So what is the ladder truck is a big specialty truck. On a ladder truck, you're supposed to be running 3 to 4 people on that truck at all times. Let's talk some real information, right? So you're supposed to be running 3 to 4 people let's talk some NFPA information, right? And you see me when I pause, I don't know it all, but let's talk some information surrounding the industry of the fire department, right? So when you talk some NFPB information, right, you're talking about the nonprofit that creates fire safety standards and protocol used across the U.S. They don't run fire departments, they set the rules, guidelines, and best practices, okay? So under their practices, something like a ladder truck should have 3 to 4 people in it at all times. We've had multiple fire department employees, and the former chief has been told that this department is running 1 to 2 people on these pieces of equipment, which is a safety issue, which can lead to equipment being damaged. We don't know if that's related. These are the facts, like the news. These are the facts. So we know that they're running 1 to 2 people on these equipments to save money. So now you're playing with our safety to save money.
This isn't paperwork. This is document.
This is where people are seeing it. So it's not, you can see how many people are on these trucks.
Oh.
These are employees that are saying, yeah, they're running 1 to 2 people. And these same employees are being told you can't take a sick day. These same employees are being told you take vacation. Now it's a hostile work environment. And then when they take their rightful days, fire stations are being shut down rather than being paid overtime to make sure that I'm safe. So now my children, your children, the Yarba's mother, she had to wait an extra 20 minutes. And this is what the fire department employees are telling us. You don't come on here making up stuff and looking at rumors. When the people keep screaming it and no platform will repeat it, we're the people's choice. And not because we claimed it, but because you asked for it.
Mm-hmm.
So now you got a situation where, let's start it from the beginning. So when we land this ship, because we won't see you again until Monday, when we land this ship, you know how to take it. So the former fire chief said the only person that's qualified or anywhere near qualified to run the fire department to keep these people safe is
Patrick.
There we go. Patrick Armand, the assistant fire chief. Mayor Horn said let's talk about what Mayor Horn said to Chief Willie Owens, because he came on our show and said it. Mayor Horn actually said to him, that's what I'm going to do. Now, he can lie to Chief Owens. He doesn't have any requirement to tell him the truth. But he actually told him, that's what I'm going to pick. And then he told him, I'll talk to you if I decide to go in a different direction. Next thing you know, the mayor had gone 4 stacks down and had hired a captain as the chief of the fire department, right? And like I said, we haven't been able to find one time in the history of the paid fire departments in the United States of America, not saying it hasn't existed, we can guarantee you it hasn't happened in Jackson.
4 ranks.
We haven't been able to find one time in the paid fire department someone has moved up 4 ranks to chief. Not assistant, but chief. And then for us immediately to have more fires than we had already we've had more fires than we've had when Chief Owens was in office. And then we've got a $1.4 million vehicle. Well, Horn, CCID gave you $2 million. That $2 million is burnt up now. The little bit you did try to get back to the city is gone, burnt up. And it's all because you didn't listen to the former chief when he told you that in order to have a chief, you got to already be a chief or have been a chief. An assistant chief is a chief. He's an assistant chief.
What made you not want to? I just want y'all to understand who
they know what made him want. They know the people. They know
this
the
is y'all
personnel.
mayor we talking about.
They know.
I understand how much control he got over the city. He did that over some personal issues. Just because man, you gotta understand how dangerous that is of a person.
Reports say yesterday that the ladder truck only had 1 person assigned. I'm not interrupting. Go ahead. Reports say, and I'm looking at the words, reports say the ladder truck had only 1 person assigned. So this is your life now. At what point do we draw the line? At what point do you draw the line? So now it's okay for me to block JPD so you can't say anything, no matter whether you need to say something or not. You need to find your baby. So what? I hope they find him. But you're not going to say anything on here like I saw the baby down there at the market. I saw her near the gas station. I saw her on State Street. You won't say that on here because we don't want anyone telling Chief Brackney what's happening in this city. So if you know Chief Brackney, you may want to tell her to go ahead and check out Make It Make Sense Jackson. And just tell her she'll find out what's happening. She doesn't have to like it, but go tell her because I think Nick Lott is making sure she stays far away. Bullies is as far as he'll let her go. You can go get some barbecue, but after that, he takes her far away from anything that could tell her what's really happening in the city. And by the time she gets to her patrol, she's dealing with so much violence, she goes right into chief mode. Yeah, that's what I expect her to do.
She takes office April 1st.
Yeah. So you all have the chance. If you're around her, if you surround her, they're clearly insulating her. And you all will learn to stop doing things if you want people to stop talking about them. That's the easiest way to stop it, right? So she comes into office April the 1st. They're shielding her. Nick Lott is the director of communications, so I can only assume either him or through his direction, they're shielding you, the public, from being able to interact with any post that she's on out of fear that perhaps, you just said the April 1st, maybe they think she won't take the job. Maybe that's why they do
I didn't think about it.
I never thought about that.
Oh, wow. That's April Fool.
You have to realize this woman came from the police movement to reform her own department. This is if you want to call a Black Power police chief, that's who this is by her own words. She had a podcast called Black Arm of the Law. And if you Google her and just interviews, you'll see some other interviews, and I'll put them online for you. You'll see some other interviews she did where she said phrases, I said it before, like the police system, it does not treat people of color with dignity. It doesn't need to be reformed. It needs to be torn down and rebuilt. And that what she does is make sure that everybody has dignity, and that if people of color are not treated correctly, she's there to take a stand. And like we said yesterday, we're positive that Jalen Lewis's mother would be happy to see that in action, because you're dealing with a city that has 2 police departments. We've got folks with a card, North Jackson, Fondren, and other parts, that call the number on that card to get capital out to them. You got other folks that call JPD. You got capital soaking up all of the money that comes in, because whoever responds to the crimes gets the money. You got a Department of Public Safety that Mayor Horn, Rizal, Hartley, Foote, all of these councilmen and councilwomen could be going to the Department of Public Safety and begging for money, because the Department of Public Safety provides money to bring down youth crime. Well, our youth have absolutely nothing to do, and not one of your elected representatives have asked the Department of Public Safety for a penny. You've got to make it make sense. But you know what they did do, Jackson? They did put together an ordinance begging companies to hire our 14-year-old children. They did do that. So they couldn't ask for money to provide resources for them, but they could put them to work for the good white man. And you did that to yourself by me saying that. You made it look that way. You brought race into it because you told our children you're good enough to work for folks that don't look like you, but you're not good enough to have anything done for you, any outlets created for you. Mayor Horn slam crashed the skate park that the previous mayor Lumumba created so that kids could come out. There could be places where food trucks could come. You could have concerts that could be for the city of Jackson. You could have folks from the city of Jackson making money there with their own stands, not having to go through the permits of Madison and of everywhere else. But you didn't want us to thrive, did you? Because if it wasn't being checked by your handlers, Mayor Horn, and this is what we have to understand for our own protection, our mayor is being handled, and therefore he's handling you. And you just have to go back to the Northside Sun article if you want to find out who his handlers are. You just have to look at Downtown Jackson Partners and go look at when they were raising money, when they had that fundraiser for him. And Downtown Jackson Partners said, we raised about $325,000. It's worth it. We don't expect anything back for it.
What's the, I forgot what it was called.
Might have been born yesterday, but I stayed up all night.
He was running for mayor and they was giving him money. What is it called again?
Campaign donations.
Campaign donations.
Yeah, you talking about that. You had a meeting that everybody knows about where they said, we're going to put this $250 behind Horn. Who did you think was going to be paid off? Black contractors, Black businessmen. Who did you think was going to get rewarded? You? How, Sway? How? You saw who came in and gave him millions during his inauguration. Who was there? The Patel community, Seren Singh's community, they were on stage with him. You saw Prado on stage with him and Crudup together. Prado and Crudup standing together as if he was a member of the team. You knew who was about to come up, but you just wanted to hold on a little bit to that hope in your heart. Oh, Johnny Boy been around for 30 years. Well, you haven't learned yet that to stick around, you got to get down. All these mayors, all these governors, all these senators sticking around for 30, 40 years. You smart enough to scream the system's corrupt, but you're not smart enough to say, well, then how can you stay with it that long? You telling me I've been married to somebody that's been stealing for 40 years and I ain't stole nothing? Make it make sense, Jackson. You want to let them in your house? His wife been stealing for 40 years. I don't think I want neither of them in there.
His wife.
I'm making an analogy that these folks that are hand in hand with people that do this, you got at a certain point, you got to understand what you're looking at. When John Horn, Mayor Horn when the Northside Sun said, this is who we want you to vote for, and this is what's happening, we've got to come to a resolution point. And in order to get to a resolution point, we have to understand what's happened first. And the one thing that we dealt with on our other platform, KP and I, a lot, was folks saying, well, why do you all have to keep talking about what happened? Well, because right now the same thing's happening again. You have Councilman Vernon Hartley, who said, I don't want more poor people in my district, in my ward. You all just forget so much. When it's convenient, you forget it. Ran around with Councilman Foote to the Cedars and all through North Jackson, telling everybody not to trust anyone but him, Stokes, and Foote. Right? And then when Foote got the people he wanted in the district change and beat the people going against him, and Hartley did not get what he wanted, lost flood insurance, lost everything. Then he said, this is wrong against the black people.
Yep.
It wasn't a problem with the black people when you were running around with a Confederate sympathizer in Foote.
Man, now you're going to play Malcolm X.
Now you're Malcolm X. And maybe you need to hear this from us. Hate us for it. We're okay with that. But accept it because it's truth. Go to your little computer and put it in, to your little iPad and put it in. And Google it. Go to Michael Watson, Secretary of State, and see who owns the businesses and figure out we did the work already. Don't get bothered with us because we see the emperor has no clothes on. And we begging you to yell it out when you see him at least. So they asked you to do that. You did it, some of you. You went ahead and voted. Time for a change, Jackson Rising. Didn't even think about the South Rising again. That sounds real familiar. The only Jackson Rising that you ever heard of was the Kush Plan that the old mayor, Lumumba, rest in peace, was a part of, along with a lot of others. And you knew John Horn was far from the previous Chokwe Lumumba, rest in peace. You talking about night and day. Right? So you knew what it was. So who is Jackson Rising for? And that, my people, is where we stand at today. We stand at the crossroads of understanding who Jackson is rising for. And the things that are happening in your city are happening against the better judgment of who will help you all. So I think that Tuesday, a few more things to touch on, but Tuesday is going to be very interesting because, when you talk to us and we talk to community members, is one thing. When a former Chief Willie comes on, Chief Owens, comes on and breaks it down like he did on the last show, just pointing out that, again, you got Local 87 lying about gains that chief made. Now, what I want you to think is, why is the chief not being backed up? I'm 48. We come from a different era. Maybe rap battles were happening different. We yell you out if you're not looking out for us, right, KP? And me and KP is supposed to be good, and AKP's not helping me. We're going to yell you out. Where's 100 black men when the chief, he is a well-loved figure. And I'm going to keep saying that because if you start looking and thinking a certain way, they could take our breath away. They could take my breath away tomorrow. But you start thinking a certain way. Start dodging and dancing, looking at 100 black men, and are they all black or is one Indian and black, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you notice it, then you start digging and saying, okay, well, we got a lot of Indians throwing us here. Maybe there's no connection. Maybe there's a lot. But let me tell you something. When you start making it make sense, why is there one gang member here, but the other 99 aren't? Why is there one Alpha here, one Kappa here, one AKA here, but the others don't? That's not how that works. They back each other up. You got bigwigs in there. You got Mayor Horn is one. Leroy Brown is one. Leroy Walker, I always say Brown. Leroy Walker is one. You've got names that hold weight. Where are they when what did Chief Willie do? Well, I know what I did to y'all. I get it. I told too much truth. What did Chief Owens do in 30, 40 years? You know the programs he's brought to the fire department programs he brought to the public schools and the way he's engaged youth over the 40 years. What did he do? 100 black men, and there one of you can support him. They done lied and said, and then it's 100 black men. You got fire number 87, a historically racist unit that's lying on a black chief from Belzonia. And the other black men don't say nothing to stand up for. Golly, if your grandfathers could see you now, whoo, that's all I tell you. Because I was raised by the good ones. And I sat quietly. I wasn't doing all this talking when they were around. But if they could see you, my God, that's all I could say. Those Depression grandfathers, Great Depression grandfathers that ate one scoop of ice cream every night for 40 years. Rest in peace. The greats are gone, and they've hurt so many of the rest of them. We've got peons leading us. And we can say that at 48. We felt the effects of your allowing them to push that super predator law. I felt that leaving home at 14 and getting slammed up against walls and getting searched because you sat there and traded your education and your higher level of living for my freedoms as a young black male. All of you all that were involved with the Clinton plans and the Charles Rangel plans, all of you Democrats and Republicans that sat there and made decisions that hurt us, that mud baby era, that's us, that war on crime, that prison complex, industrial prison complex, that private prison, that crack kid neighborhood. You'll never get us to be quiet. You just have made it so many of us feel like we shouldn't be leading. And that's what I need my young brothers to snap out of.
So you feel like all those things you named is the reason why y'all was so strong?
Yeah, if you make it through it, a lot of us didn't. 40 of us that I grew up with, I can call 5 people right now. A lot of us didn't make it through there. Not those that came through it. I came through it. I don't sound like it sometimes because I had a father that was in the nation and fought hard. I had a grandfather that was a pastor and part of the civil rights movement down here. So I had a grandmother that was an educator, a mother that was an educator, and that's before we could be educated. So I got all my education before I left the home. None of my education comes from school systems. I went to school, but none of it comes from there. It all comes from being taught. So when you come from something, then you get to see something.
Mm-hmm.
You look around at these men out here and you get to say, hey, let me just tell you something. These aren't the men of yesterday. These aren't even the men of yesteryear. These aren't the men that we've ever had in our community or women. These aren't the giants and the grandmothers and the grandfathers. So I pray that when you listen to us, if you do nothing else, but self-perseverance, stop letting these people treat you all like you're their sons. And I'm talking to my men here. These 70-year-old men getting treated like sons. You got these other men moving through society, done hurt you, done hurt your wife, done took away opportunities, done talked about you, done drug you through the mud, and you just sitting there silent like a broken puppy. Like God didn't give you the breath in your lungs to speak up and say something. Like, what is it going to give you when you dead? You going to get to go to dead and say, well, I was a good brother. I didn't take the low road. No, sir, you did take the low road. You scary son of a gun. You took the lowest road possible. You get to go home every night and hug your little bottle of liquor or hug whatever makes you feel better instead of facing the real facts. These people are running away with your city and they went to high school with you.
Names on us, names on me, under me, the youth. You setting us back a lot of years.
And got the nerve to turn around talking about these youth are the problem. No, you the problem. I'm the problem if I don't stand up. I'm on a network where I can look at my network and see Mr. Garrett jump on there and say, in Mississippi, black people are being oppressed. Quite open. Take a look at our politicians and be willing to have the courage to let voices come on this platform that are going to speak to everybody. Doesn't matter who you are, and we're going to speak truth. We're struggling through platforms that don't even want to hear us, even if we've gotten their audience viewership 30 times what it was. Because folks are too used to the status quo. I don't want to ruffle anything. We don't give one single care about what you want to ruffle when you making people in Mississippi and in Jackson this uncomfortable. Listen to the theme song the young man created. You should be ashamed. That's in there for a reason. Because 50% of us should be ashamed because we're looking at it happen. Imagine a rape and 10 people in that circle and your loved one is in the middle of that circle and a physical rape is happening and they're watching. That's Jackson. All these people that worked with these people, grew up with these people, know what these people are doing. Because I know because you tell me. I'm just not going to say your name. You know, but you keep it quiet. You waiting to write that book, huh? You waiting to come out with that perspective in 20 years.
It ain't even like they gotta just, you know what I'm saying? Like just face the music right there. I mean, you can email us, you can come talk to us. It's a lot of things you
call
can
us
do.
anonymously.
Yeah,
Put a
yeah.
pillow over the phone. We don't care, and I mean
doing
that. I mean that. I mean, you said look, Kamikaze, a rapper, you know who he is. He said a line once, and I just looked at it. My God, I got to repeat it. We got to repeat this. He said, it was in one of his rap. And this ain't exact. He said, my God, y'all, I've never seen people so scared of these white folks. And that, my goodness gracious, when I watched the Mississippi Charter Authorizer Board meeting. I keep telling you, you care about your children. I'm going to care about your children for you until you catch up. I told you that you got a young lady representing us for all sakes and purposes, Candace Robbins. I believe she went to JSU. She goes to the Redeemer Church where Grant Callen, the leader of the attack on the public school systems through vouchers, is a ruling elder, and she sits on that board. So when you always talk about we're not represented, you need to go vote, shut your mouth and go turn on the TV and look at who we got in there representing us and what they're doing before you open your liver lips to tell people they need to vote, and that's the problem. So now, I watched the Mississippi Charter Authorizer Board meeting that was in January, and I watched this woman second everything that the lead woman, who are both Republicans and work close together with the privatized schools, I watched her simply second everything they said. I watched not one thing brought up to speak for the people here, except for signing on to some renegotiations with Ambition Prep and some other schools in the city. So when you wonder why charter school format doesn't favor you more, well, Candace Robbins is a black woman in Mississippi, a historically racist state that should be representing us. Go watch those meetings. I'll repost it for you. It's long meetings. Sometimes your future can get a little boring, so I apologize. But you got folks sitting at home doing nothing and talking the most on these comments. So go look at that and go see what's happening at your Mississippi Charter Authorized Board. Go look at how hard the black schools have when they try to fight for a contract to get renegotiated. Watch how many questions they ask them openly. Watch how those white women cut them off in that meeting and say, well, no, that's a problem. But watch when it's time for one of the white women's schools to get approved, they talk to each other bilaterally like the other ones aren't even there. You got the right ones. Don't post it on YouTube then. And I'll be back for the next meeting too. So should you. When you look at what these people are doing right in front of your face, I promise you'll see it. You don't need but three shows with me. And they can go ahead and leave me at the bottom of that river they've been bragging about as muddy from black men. And you'll still understand what's going on here. And it'll take them another 30 years to turn that back over your eyes because they've been handling you, not leading you. But when someone handles you, they leave a trail. So I think if you don't leave this show with anything, and you know someone in the fire department, you know somebody that's an employee, you find out. You do your own verification because Tuesday we're going to have the former Chief Willie Owens on the show. 4 o'clock Central Standard Time. And he's going to go over what he's been told and what he knows. But we know right now, and I believe fully, that fire departments in Jackson, Mississippi are being closed because they can't afford to pay overtime. I believe that 1 to 2 men are being run on things like that big ladder truck and other equipment that demands under NFPA requirements at least 3 to 4 people on it at all times. And I know that these moves are putting us as Jackson civilians and citizens in danger. And I know that Chief Owens came on and told Mayor Horn, do not take a person and push them 4 steps up. Take the assistant chief and put him in, what's his name? Put the assistant chief and put him in, Patrick Armand, as the chief. Instead, your mayor took Captain Rashawn Thomas. You'll never hear this unless we say it, and we're going to land this. He moved him above district chief. He moved him above division chief. He moved him above deputy chief. He moved him above assistant chief and made him your fire chief.
Go buy y'all some fire extinguishers. Make sure y'all
100%. That's our message.
Please,
I've never backed a young man up so much. Go buy yourself some extended fire hoses. Just get some water you can shake and spray. I would tell my child that, and I'm not even being facetious or funny. If I find out at Burger King, man, I'm about to take my whole family, the whole team to Burger King, and they're like, okay, I just want you to know, the general manager left. All right, well, who's running the store? You know the guy who used to clean the windows on the outside? Not a diss to the guy cleaning the windows. Over time, he would become the regional manager, right? But that's what he was doing. That's who's running the store. You may not like that, people, but that comparison is correct. Division chief, district chief, division chief, deputy chief, assistant chief. All of those have one word that should hurt your freaking feelings, and that's chief. That's the experience that makes you able to be a chief. Even if you had one chief, I'd be okay with that. Yeah. But you got no chiefs? Just come on. We don't care about these Negroes' lives. Just like we don't care about Babanasi buildings downtown where these Negroes can't live. Just like we don't care about these Negroes wanting a skate park for their children. Just like we don't care about these Negroes wanting supermarkets. We'll let Gabriel Prado's family come in and build gas stations called Don Gabriel that he has registered as supermarkets. He's saying he's selling you all food. He's charging you more for everything. And your mayor invited him in. Indian store owners are using JPD as police right across from the radio station. You can see the police JPD drive up. Well, who said that JPD is our security? Surinder Singh, who also said that Charles Hawthorne deserved to die over a 6-pack of beer, who Mayor Horn decided to appoint on his transition team. And now we see code enforcement agents within the city telling me, well, the mayor's telling us to lay off the Indians, man. Don't go too hard on them. Make it make sense, Jackson. What I'm gonna make sure is you don't never run around running your mouth flapping and talking about this city's this way because this city's this way because you shut your mouth and let it happen now. That's the beauty of it.
We ain't lied to y'all yet.
No, we ain't even started talking to you yet. We just give you some background at those 1,000 plus loyal audience members from Make It Make Sense that we bought with us and that we want to build with you. We're just telling you what they already know. That's why they tapped in, because we always give the ingredients before we cook. But these folks keep giving us new meals every night. $1.4 million gone. Because you ain't want to listen to Chief Willie Owens and hire somebody that had experience being at least a chief. Even if it was district, division, deputy, assistant, at least the chief. Now you sitting up there trying to at least have one win So when you're not a chief for real, then your wins got to be overtime. Believe me, I was a manager ever on. You got it. Now I got a budget. Look how my budget. So you're gonna save a budget at my expense. And Yarb, if you want to call us and come on and discuss it, please do. Because I like to talk about things that hit the newspaper. A 20-minute response time when that man's mother house. Every one of them come on and we'll sit you right here and let you talk to us. This don't make no sense. I don't see how you all go home to your children at night and kiss them at night and ask them to listen to you. I tell you, Daddy, you ain't listening. You let him do what he wants to you. Why I gotta listen, Daddy? So I think as we land this, we really got to understand, folks, that we are here as a community. And it breaks my heart to hear those firefighters talk like that, because I remember the push the city did to get them in there, to get them through those fitness exercises, to get through the city, get fit, get strong. You can do it. People that tried 3-4 years to get into the fire department. And you telling me that you done drove the morale down because you skipped 4 positions? And this man's probably a great brother that would have become a great chief once he learned how to be one. But Mayor Horn, the disrespect that you had, for Chief Owens is what young folks like us ain't going to allow. Because if you want to disrespect him openly, we're going to call you out and we're going to put you out for it. But he didn't do this alone.
This y'all life.
This whole fire department that's walking with him, every one of you that sits there knowing the things that can be contributed that can help us understand it better, every one of you holds this guilt. If you're a news reporter, if you are a party to a crime in Mississippi right now, if you are over the age of 60, you are a criminal right now because you know something you're not saying. And young people like KP are figuring things out and bringing them to me at 1 a.m. because he done studied a website that shows him who owns what business. But you can't figure that same thing out because you're too busy talking about what you deserve. Well, it's time to work because they're working on you.
Yeah.
So I want you all to go into this weekend with love, because that's what we send. It may be tough love, but it is not indeed love, because I hope I told you something you didn't know yesterday. And if I did, that means you make the decision with us. Here at Make It Make Sense, as we land this plane, we don't want to tell you how to think. We just want you to have the right information to do so. So for my co-host,
Keanu Perry,
and myself, Tariq Abdul-Tawwab, continue to make it make sense. We'll see you Monday, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we'll continue to make it make sense. We love you, Jackson. We out.